The Medrash tells us a fascinating thing, that when Hashem decided He wants to give the Jewish people the Torah, He wasn't all that ready to give it. And He said, I want to guarantor that Torah will survive, that Torah will remain. I'm going to give you something, it's a gift from me, but how am I going to ensure that this lasts forever? Maybe it'll last for one generation. Maybe by the time you get out of this desert and you come into Israel, you're going to get busy, you're not going to do it, not going to stick to it. Maybe you'll assimilate, maybe it'll be forgotten over the years. How am I going to ensure that this Torah that I'm giving you is indeed going to remain among you? And the Torah actually tells us that when Moshe Rabbeinu went to heaven, the Medrash tells us, when Moshe went to heaven to get the Torah, the angels weren't all that thrilled. They said, what's this human doing here? This is heaven. And they were told that this human came to receive the Torah.
You forgot something, I'll do it next Thursday, recite something.
Why is a human here? So they were told this human came to receive the Torah. They said, Torah, we want the Torah. It's ours. It's spiritual. It's holy. You're taking God's wisdom and sending it down to earth. So Hashem told Moshe, you got a good answer for them? Let's hear what you have to say. Why should you get the Torah over the angels? And what he did was he started to show them that if you look at the Torah and you look at its mitzvahs, you'll see that you can't do mitzvahs in heaven. Okay? He said, look, what does it say? It says keep kosher. What did you eat for breakfast? Angels obviously don't eat, so you can't fulfill this mitzvah of not mixing milk and meat or waiting between meat products to dairy products for 6 hours or whatever it may be. You don't have food. You don't eat. So this whole mitzvah wouldn't apply to you. And he went on and he said, well, it says here, work 6 days a week and rest on Shabbos. What do you guys do for a living? You have bills you have to pay. You work to earn. Okay, and he went on. Honor your parents. Do you have parents? Angels don't have parents. So what's this idea that you need the Torah? You can't fulfill the Torah, which is fascinating because what Moshe was telling the angels is Torah was designed, it was written to be fulfilled in a physical world. Someone asked the question this morning, if I want to go to heaven. And I said, no. He almost fainted, but it's not that I don't want to go to heaven. I want to stay here. Because in this world, you could do mitzvahs. In heaven, it's reward. There's no fulfilling of the actual mitzvah. It's not doing the good deeds. It's just... So before Hashem gave us this Torah, He told the Jewish people, I want a guarantor. I want you to ensure that the Torah will remain with you and it's not going to be forgotten. So we said, okay, a guarantor, let's see. Our parents could be our guarantors. And Hashem said, no, it's not going to work. He says, okay, well, let's see. We have prophets, right? Maybe the prophets could be our guarantor. And Hashem didn't accept it. I'm not giving you the Torah. I want a better guarantor. Until the Jewish people said, you know what? Our children will be guarantors. And when we said our children will be guarantors, Hashem responded, that's great. I'm giving you the Torah. Now the question is, how does this make any sense? Really? Imagine you went to the bank, you want to get a mortgage. Okay? This wonderful young couple they're buying a house, and they go to the bank, and they show all of their tax returns and their pay stubs and their entire balance sheet, and they tell the banker, we'd like to get a loan for our house. And the banker looks at the papers, looks at them, and says, you know, it's not good enough. I can't give you the loan. Give me a guarantor. Someone that's going to back you up in case you can't pay your loan. So they think to themselves, you know, our parents, his parents, her parents, they both work, they both have savings, they have good credit. Let them be the guarantor. So they tell the banker, well, our parents could do it. And the banker looks at them and says, nah, I don't want to take your parents as a guarantor. Well, what do you mean? Well, I don't know. Maybe they're going to retire one day. Maybe they're not going to work. They're not living in that house. Who knows? Nah, not going to do it. Okay, you think, you know what? I have an uncle. He's a great rabbi. Everyone respects him. He's honest. He has a good track record. You know, maybe he'll be the guarantor for the mortgage. And the banker says, nah, not going to do it. So you try all these different things. And then the couple says, you know, we have our young kid. He's turning 2. And our boy, he's turning 2 years old. And our daughter, she's going into nursery next year. Let them be the guarantors. And the banker's like, you got the deal. How does that make any sense? Your parents, you don't accept as a guarantor. Prophets or whatever, you don't accept. But little kids, they're going to guarantee your loan. And essentially, that's what happened when the Yidden wanted to receive the Torah. We said, our parents are going to ensure that we do the right thing, that we keep this Torah. We respect them. They're our elders. And Hashem said, nah. Okay, our prophets. And Hashem said, no. Our children are going to be our guarantors. Hashem's like, you know what? I like that. You're in. But now you're ensured that it's going to last. If the parents are not keeping it, how are the kids going to keep it? So in order to answer this, I want to share a talk that the Rebbe gave just a year and a half or so after he became formally the Rebbe. This talk was in 1952. And the Rebbe said like this. In life, there's important things and there's urgent things. What's the difference between important and urgent? I'll give you an example. Important is you got to change your tire. Your tire is balding, you better change your tire. Is it urgent? It's not urgent. But if you're on the highway and you get a flat tire, now it's urgent. Okay, so there's important and there's urgent. Sometimes the urgent things are not that important, but they're urgent, so you have no choice, you have to do them. Okay? There's important things in life, and there are urgent things in life. And reality tends to take the urgent and supersede or take precedent over the important. It's just the nature of things because now it's urgent. A person wants to keep the Torah. It's important. We know its value. We know it's God's wisdom. It's the way to live. But they're running around. They have urgent things to take care of. They have to pay their bill. They have to make a living. They have to pick up. They have to drop off. They have to shop. They have to come. They have to go. And all these urgent things get in the way. So you don't have time to sit and study Torah. You don't have time to really focus and put that emphasis as much as you would like to. It's not that you're against it. You appreciate the importance. But there are urgent things that if you don't do them now, like if you're not going to cook that meal, you're not going to have the meal. It may not be as important, but right now it's urgent because it has to get done. Shopping, picking up, dropping off, and so on. So Hashem says, you know what? I need a guarantor because your urgencies of your life are going to get in the way and you're not going to be dedicated the way I need to my Torah to ensure that it continues. So he said, our parents will ensure. And Hashem said, no, your parents can't ensure that because you're going to get caught up with the stuff that you have to do, right? What did we say? We said, our parents, they're not working, they're going to be retired, they could go to the shul early in the morning, they'll unlock it at 5 a.m., they'll study Torah all day, they'll stay later in shul, we'll run and do the carpools, we'll run and do the shopping, we'll run to work, we'll run. Our parents could do it. Hashem said, no, it's not going to work. I don't want Torah to remain in some shul. I want it to be in your life. You're going to relegate it to the seniors, that they should study Torah somewhere? But what about getting Torah into the world? I don't want that, Hashem says. So he said, you know what? Let's take our prophets. Let's use our prophets. Our prophets are holy people. They could be our guarantors. And Hashem said, no, not all prophets were so good in history. There's certain things that happened. Who knows? It's going to remain in some kind of, separate group in the ivory tower? No, that's not going to work. So then we came along and we said our children. Now, why did Hashem like our children as guarantors? For two main reasons. Reason number one is because the children of today are the adults of tomorrow. So if we're going to educate them, then they're going to make sure that Torah continues in the next generation. Right? They're continuing it. And secondly, there's something about when children want something to happen, when they're into an idea or a concept, they tend to influence their parents and the rest of the family. And this is an idea that the Rebbe spoke about countless times. That when you get the children into something, it has really strong impact on the rest of the family. And it ensures that among the parents, these traditions remain. And here's how it works. I'll share a story. There's a famous Israeli politician, Naftali Bennett. When he was growing up, not in a religious family, his parents moved to Montreal, Canada. His father was a fundraiser for a school in Haifa, I believe. And they moved to Montreal. Now, when they got to Montreal, this Naftali was a little kid, and his parents wanted that he should have some kind of Hebrew classes. He's little. They're going to return eventually to Israel. They want him to know Hebrew, not just from home, but in the social setting. So they're looking around for a school, a play group, something that has Hebrew. And they're looking around, and they find the only preschool there that would take them was a Chabad school. So he goes to this Chabad preschool, play group, and they're playing, they're doing their thing. And one day he comes home and he says, I want to wear a kippah, a yarmulke. Why do you want to wear a yarmulke? Because we're Jewish. And my teacher said, and his parents told him, in the shul you wear a kippah, at school you wear a kippah. He's like, no, our teacher told us that it's a reminder that God is above us and there's something higher and we have to remember, and I want to wear a yarmulke. So the father said, okay, wear a yarmulke. And then the kid turns to the father and says, where's your yarmulke? You're Jewish. And a couple months later, they learned about tzitzis, right? Tzitzis is the four-corner garment, the strings that we wear on the sides. And he says, let's do tzitzis. I want to wear tzitzis. Wear tzitzis. Well, wear your tzitzis. And the father and the mother were so pulled by what the kid really wanted, right? Children, they're pure. They know how to make sure that you don't say one thing and do another thing. They're very good at keeping straight on the narrow. It's something which we have to recognize, that value of the way children behave, the way they work, and the innocence that they have. So Hashem says, if the children are going to do the Torah, if the children are going to keep the mitzvahs, if you're going to use them as guarantors, the parents will follow. Because if it's important to the kids, it's going to be important to the parents. So reason number one is because children are the adults of tomorrow. And what you learn today, the things that you learn as a child, remains with you. I'm sure everyone here and those that are listening, welcome those that are watching online. Make sure you subscribe, ask questions, share. The reality is that the things that you learned as a child remains with you. And sometimes you remember things from a kid and you don't remember things from this morning, right? Why? Because that's the nature. Children, when things that are educated to you, that are ingrained in you, as they say, with your milk, it's in your cereal, you remember that. And if we're going to put into the children, as our guarantors, a priority for Torah and for mitzvahs, it'll remain with them. It'll stick. There's another story that Rebbe shares from the Mishnah, very famous story. From all the generations of sages, there's only one sage that left the way of Jewish life. His name was Elisha ben Avuya. Okay? He was a sage. He's quoted in the Mishnah. And unfortunately, at a later point in his life, he left the whole Yiddishkeit and stopped doing Torah mitzvahs, to the extent that he's referred to in Jewish literature as Acher, the other one, because he left. Now, the things that he said before he left were good. But once he left Yiddishkeit and stopped doing Torah mitzvahs, he's referred to as Acher, the other one. Now, he had he wasn't just someone that left Yiddishkeit, but he was promoting anti-religion, which means he was, let's just say, the equivalent of publishing books that are promoting lack of religion and why you should not live a religious life and so on. So he was really looked at as anti-religious. He had a student, his name was Reb Meir. Reb Meir kept with him even after Elisha ben Avuya left his Jewish ways. He was religious, Reb Meir, but he would listen and spend time with Elisha ben Avuya to get some of his wisdom of things that he knew before he separated from the Jewish way. One day, the sage Rabbah bar Shila is walking along, and he encounters Elijah the prophet. Did that ever happen to you? He encounters Elijah the prophet. So he said, Elijah, Eliyahu, tell me, what's going on in the heavenly realm? What's God doing now? So he said, you really want to know? Hashem is repeating the words of all the sages, all their teachings, their quotes. God is repeating it. Besides Reb Meir. This is Reb Meir Baal HaNes. Why besides him? Because he's quoting stuff, and he's still involved, this Elisha ben Avuya, this Acher, this one that left. So Rabbah bar Shila wanted to stick up for him. He said, listen, tells Elijah the prophet, Reb Meir knows how to get the pomegranate, eat the fruit, but not lose the, sorry about that, eat the fruit but not lose the but throw out the shell. So he'll get the fruit that's there, but the junk he gets out. And he's trying to imply that yes, he's learning from Elisha ben Avuya, who is he's a heretic today, but he knows how to take the good and get rid of the bad. So it's fine. Like, what's the big deal? Okay, that's the end of the story. But the Rebbe talks about it, and the Rebbe says, what's really the secret? How is it possible that this Elisha ben Avuya, who left Yiddishkeit, has parts of him which are pure? And the answer is in a teaching that he himself said, and it's published, it's printed, it's brought in Pirkei Avos, Ethics of Our Fathers. He says you can't compare a person who learns Torah as a child to a person that learns Torah only when they're much older in life. Now, why? He says, imagine you're learning Torah, anything, and it's written on a board. And this board had many words on it, and they were erased and scratched out, and then written again. When you look at it, it's not as clear. It's not as straight. It's like the screen today. It's not as clear. It's hard to retain the information. But if you're coming to a brand new board, a chalkboard, for those that remember that, and you're writing on a chalkboard, and it was never used yet, it has a very fresh and clear resolution. Okay? So he said, if you're a child, the things that you learn as a baby, as a little kid in your formative years, excuse me, your mind is fresh and you retain it. It stays with you. So this Elisha ben Avuya, although he left Yiddishkeit and became a heretic and became an anti-religious person, promoting that ways, the things that he learned as a kid remained with him. Those things stayed. And that's how Reb Meir was able to learn from him, because he was learning information that he had which was unmessed up. It was from before that time. Now, what's the message here? So the Rebbe talks about this, and the Rebbe says that it comes Shavuos, our children are the guarantors. And therefore, we shouldn't make the mistake and say that, you want to educate your child in Torah, you want to teach your child the proper way to behave. You think, they're kids. When they get older, I'll tell them. Okay? Why is it important now to make a blessing with my child, or to say Shema Yisrael with my child before they go to sleep, or to wash their hands, or any ritual? They're little kids. They don't understand the significance. It's meaningless to them. But the reality is the other way around, that those things that you educate them with now, it will remain forever. It becomes second nature to them. When you're 15, 16, and yes, you have an intellectual maturity, hopefully, that is able to retain and understand, and you do things perhaps in a much more meaningful way, but it's later in life. It's attached to you. It's much harder to make it one with you. You can. And we talk about it all the time, that it's never too late. But for a moment, we're focusing on the value of a child and the value of educating children and giving it to them as their youth, even before they necessarily understand exactly what's going on. They get it. They do it. And later, when you're older, it's just one of those things that you do because it is. That's the way you're supposed to do it. And it's extremely valuable. That's why Hashem says, that's a good guarantor. I'll take that. Because if you're going to teach your children Torah, then when they get busy with all the other urgent things of life, they'll have values. They'll have principles. They'll understand there's the right way and there's the wrong way. Why? Because since I'm a kid, I'm educated that way. Since I'm a child, I do that. And that remains. That's something which every one of us here have, and those watching, I'm sure, have memories of when you're a little kid, and you don't even second guess it. It's just that's what it is. It remains with you. It's wired in how you think, how you make decisions, how you react to certain things, what you consider as acceptable, what's not acceptable, because you were a kid then. The main mitzvah of Shavuos is to listen to the reading of the Ten Commandments. And this is a mitzvah which men and women and children should do. Make sure to be in Shul on Shavuos, which is Sunday. Log on to Chabad.org, find the closest shul. I have my favorite shul. You're welcome to come to mine. But come to any shul and listen to the reading of the Ten Commandments and enjoy. And remember that our children are the guarantors, so we want to focus on education, also the child within ourselves, to grow, to connect, and this year, to take that Torah mitzvahs with us, and in a deeper way than before, and try to internalize it and act on it in a practical way, in a real way, in everything that we do. Thank you so much for watching. Hope to see you very soon, right here. Lock it in, click subscribe, share, and see you soon.